So, hey, First Church and friends, welcome to online worship. For a couple more weeks, we will be online, but starting Sunday, July 5th, we will be moving back into the building on 2nd Street. No, I didn't say we'll be back in the church, because we are the Church of Jesus Christ, but we will be offering worship both online, but also starting to gather together back in the building. Of course, at that point, you will also have a new chapter and a new pastor, as this is our last Sunday with you in worship, but the Reverend Steve Livermore will be starting that Sunday as well. So that makes it doubly exciting on July 5th. So you can pay attention to the e-blast and to Facebook, and we'll give you more information as it becomes decided. You should have received a survey through the e-blast, and we ask that you fill that out and send it back in so we can get a reading of how many people are anticipating coming back in as soon as we open and what those needs might be. And then as we get closer to the date, we'll let you know about the times of the services. So keep that in prayer, but it's exciting to be green, isn't it? As this is our last Sunday, we will be sharing with you in communion. And so if you are a guest with us online or a member, we want you to know we invite you to share in communion with us today. It's a special way of us to connect with you in an eternal way and to share that Last Supper with you one last time. If you do wish to participate, it will be after the sermon, and so we invite you now to pause the tape and go and get some bread or cracker and some juice or wine or water, and have that ready at that point in the service when we'll be offering the Lord's Supper together. At the beginning of the pandemic, on the first Sunday we were home, I talked about an altar and the need to create a family altar. That altars were a place of release. They were a place of marking where God had been working in our life. And along the way, we've had different altars. We've had different coffee cups. We've had foods that don't go together. There was the week that we actually made soda bread. And today, for our last Sunday together, I'm placing stones. If you've ever gone to a Jewish cemetery, you'll notice that on the headstones, rather than flowers, those of Jewish faith will place a stone on their loved one's headstone. And that tradition started way back in the times of Jesus, where the Jews would literally mark the graves of those they loved with stones so that priests of their faith would know it was a grave and not draw too close. In order to do their religious services, they could not come too close to a grave and then lead in the temple. But over the years, it took on more significance. And it became a way of remembrance, of weighting down and of holding, once they committed that person to God, to hold them in God's hands and in their own hearts, not try to take them back here, to release someone to God rather than carrying a memory that belonged to God. I like that practice of remembering that which we've been blessed with, of giving God thanks and doxology. But then in a parting, such as we face today, of releasing each other to God, all the chapters that we've seen in the seasons, of putting them in God's hands and trusting Him with it. So may this be a service of doxology. And I invite you, before you go on, especially of young disciples, to go and find what you would place in God's hands today. Maybe it's writing down a prayer request or something else. Maybe it's a symbol of things that you're grateful for in the time that the Boileaus and First Church have shared together. So I invite you to create one last home altar, and then let us move into the prelude as we prepare our hearts to remember, to give thanks, and to release in our journey together. Let's worship the Christ.